Hello there, listeners. You're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football Premier League show. Join me, the host, along with Eamon and with Hector. And we take a look at how a manager is going to structure and put a team together for the new Premier League Fantasy Football season 2021-2022. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. Thank you very much. It's nice to be back, so it is. And Hector, you're joining us as well.
Yes, I'm back. I want to say thank you for having me back. And I also want to say, before we get on to this and before Eamon start to give out, that I give a shout out to all our listeners in France and in Germany and over in America. Hello.
Listen, thank God we've got that out of the way. Eamon, Hector might have a point. I mean, it's nice to acknowledge that, we have listeners and our listeners are growing with each episode. And I think, it's only fair that we do acknowledge the listeners. Yes, of course, but do we have to be giving a shout out to everybody in every province, in every state, in every country throughout the world? Well, I don't see much harm in it, really. Hector, would you agree with me?
I think it's very good to acknowledge our listeners. Without our listeners, we would be just talking to ourselves. And maybe Eamon like that, but, I like to know that the listeners are enjoying the show, and I want to give high five out to them there.
Okay, all right, okay. You've made your point. I take it on the chin. Hello, listeners. Eamon says hi. Thanks for listening. All right, Eamon, well, look, there's no need to be like that. We'll move along. Last week, we were talking about the midfielders. And this week, it's the turn of the forwards. However, before we get into this, listeners, we want to just say that we have an email address, and if any of our listeners want to send an email, either to myself, or to Eamon, or to Hector, please feel free. I'll have it in the notes for the podcast, but the email address is Arkham Avengers ffpl@gmail.com. And as I said, you can drop us an email, whatever the content, if you've got a question for the lads. Now, forwards, lads. Who's going to start first? I think I might start this off. Now, when you're setting up your team and getting your players in, you're only going to get 3 forwards. Now, that doesn't mean you'll be playing 3 forwards. How you play the forwards that you have will depend on the formation of your team and the tactics that you want to use. Vis-a-vis, you could have 3 forwards playing, you could have 2 forwards playing, or you might decide to have 1 forward playing and bulk up maybe your midfield or your defence. Depends on also whether you have players who are suspended, players who are injured, and also, you're relying on these players to play for you as well. Be selected by the team. Okay, so you get 3 forwards. Okay, yeah. Now, there's one other thing here that I think our listeners need to take into consideration, that football teams and managers at this point are in the transfer zone. They are looking to see what players they can bring in, maybe what players they're going to offload from the team. And that could be maybe a player is getting older. Maybe they've got a large wage bill and they want to cut down. And perhaps maybe they've realised, look, this footballer, wasn't as good as what I thought he was going to be. Hasn't turned out to be the top dog. And I have to let him go. There's going to be a lot of movement in the next couple of weeks. And we've had movement already. And this is something that a fantasy football manager needs to take into consideration. We have 3 teams who were promoted to the Premier League for the 2021-22 season, and that's Norwich City and Watford. And it's something here to also just think about. Both of these teams are returning to the Premier League after being absent for a year. Okay, so they were in the Premier League. They dropped down. Relegated is the word we're talking about.
I think you could also say they dropped down.
You could say that. I'm sticking with relegated. Okay. So they've been relegated. They've dropped down to the championship. Okay. And now they've come back up after a year. Yes, they came back up. And the third team that's joining them is Brentford. Okay. Where did they come into all of this? Well, Brentford, this is their first time in the top flight of the Premier League. They have never been there before. And they have been absent from the top tier of football for, I believe it's 74 years. Oh, right, okay. So these guys are a total unknown. Well, they've got promoted, so they were good enough to get promoted out of the championship, which is by no means any easy feat, but they've done it. Now, they will have players. We won't have seen those players in action in the Premier League last year. I think managers need to just take a look at them, and, you know, there might be a player that is on any one of those teams. You might think, I'd take a punt on him. He might be a good investment. Just something to bear in mind. Okay. Interesting. Hector, anything to add?
I think, Eamon, right, you know, there will be a lot of movement. There will be players who will come, players who will go. And I think, you know, over the coming week, you will probably see new players added into the list in the fantasy football. And I give maybe opportunity. As Eamon says, some players maybe be untested and you not know. You take a gamble on them. And, you know, sometimes you do that and it works, sometimes it don't work.
All right, okay. Now, let's have a look. Who were the top 5 forwards in the 2020-21 season? Okay. I'll start us off here. The guy at number 1 is Harry Kane, and he plays for Spurs. He's born in the United Kingdom, and he's 27 years old, so he's coming into his prime. He has a current price tag of 12.5 million. That's expensive. Yes, it is, but he's good. He got a total of 242 points in the last season, and in the 2019-2020, he got 158. The next guy is Patrick Bamford, and he plays for Leeds. Again, he was born in the United Kingdom. He also is 27 years of age. He's a price tag of 8 million. He had a total tally of 194 points in the 2020-2021. And before you ask about the 2019-2020 season, he didn't feature because, let's remember, Leeds got promoted. Oh, yes, that's right. In at number 3 is Jamie Vardy, and he plays for Leicester. Again, born in the United Kingdom, and he's 34 years of age. He has a price tag of 10.5 million. Last season, the 2020-21, he earned 187 points, and in the previous season, the 2019-2020, he had 210 points. And then number 4 is Ollie Watkins, and Ollie plays for Aston Villa. Again, he's born in the United Kingdom. He's 25 years of age. He's a price tag of 7.5 million. He had a total tally points of 168 in the 2020-21 season. And in the 2019-2020 season, he didn't have any. This guy joined Aston Villa in September 2020. Okay, so he's a new guy. Him and Bamford are 2 new guys. They are, yes. And in at number 5 for me is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Plays for Everton. He's also from the United Kingdom. He's 24 years of age. He's a price tag of 8 million, and he had a total tally points of 165 in the 2020-21 season, and in the 2019-2020 he had 126 points. And that's the top 5 from me. Okay. Variant on the prices there. I mean, we've gone from the highs of the 12.5, and even that guy, Jamie Vardy, 10, what did you say? 10.5 million. That's right, 10.5 million. And he's 34. That's right. He has been a good footballer. It's questionable whether he will be able to achieve, that sort of points this season. the legs start to go on you. It also depends on team players. As I said, some teams going to be changed about here. Players will come and go, and you have to adjust and you have to blend with them. Okay. Hector, what did you make of that?
Well, I think, when you look at the Bamford and the Watkins, they're good values, so they are. And also the other guy, Calvert-Lewin, they're good value. I suppose if you had money, you might want to go and get the Kane from Spurs. It could be an option.
Now, there's something I'm going to add in here is that the speculation that Harry Kane might be transferring from Spurs. So he might transfer to another team in the Premier League. So just remember that, because if you already have players from a particular team, and if you selected 3 of them, and if you're looking for Harry Kane and he moves, you're going to have to sacrifice somebody, because remember, you can only have 3 players from a team.
All right, okay.
Now, I know Bamford is in second place, and I've spoken about this on and off over the last season. I really wasn't a big fan of his. It'll be interesting to see what he does this season.
Okay, so that was the top 5 forwards. What about the top 5 forwards who've managed to score in the season? Hector, have you got anybody first there? I have. Harry Kane was the top guy from Spurs. He scored 23 goals. Then Patrick Bamford, and he's the player from Leeds. He had 17 goals. Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton, he had 16 goals. Then you had the Jamie Vardy from Leicester, and he had 15. And Ollie Watkins, Aston Villa, he had 14.
All right, okay. So it's the same 5 who score goals who are in there. It's probably logical that they would be, because they're the top 5 players who got points, and you get points by scoring goals.
Thank you for that, Eamon.
You're welcome.
What about forwards then who managed to assist?
Right. Okay. Jamie Vardy actually is the top there from Leicester. He had 14 assists. He's followed by Harry Kane, who also had 14 assists. Now, the third guy is Timo Werner, and he plays for Chelsea. He had 12 assists. Now, this guy costs 9 million. And last season, 2020-21, he earned 128 points. And I have to point out, he's from Germany, and he joined Chelsea in July 2020. He's 25 years of age. He's an interesting character. Number 4 is Patrick Bamford, oddly enough. Leeds, 11 assists. And then we have Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa, and he had 9 assists.
Okay, so again, apart from your man, what do you say, Werner, is it?
Yes, Timo Werner.
So, we have 4 out of the top 5 overall who scored, who assist. So, there's a bit of a pattern growing here with these guys.
Well, there would be. They are forwards, and this is what I'm saying. The forwards who are getting the points are also forwards who are probably getting assists. And that's important. When you're getting a player in there, you want a guy who can get assists as well as goals.
Hector, anybody showing a bit of creativity? Yes. Harry Kane, he is top again from Spurs. He's very creative. The next guy is Roberto Firmino, and he plays for Liverpool. He would cost you 9 million. He got 141 points in the last season. He's from Brazil, and hi to everybody there. And he's 29 years. The guy then, who would be my number 3, he's Ollie Watkins, and he's from Aston Villa. Number 4 would be Timo Werner from Chelsea. And then number 5, I have Che Adams, and he plays for Southampton. He would cost 7 million. He got 137 points. He's from the United Kingdom, and he's 27 years of age.
Okay. So, that's interesting. So, creativity here now is Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins, consistent all along there. Your man Timo Werner is up there from Chelsea, so he's got assists and he's creative.
He's a good player, so he is. And I think, you be manager putting team together, you need to keep eye out for Chelsea. They're very good.
They finished the season in good form, and yes, they won the Champions League. So if they carry that form forward into the next season, Hector is probably right. He wouldn't go amiss probably to have 1 or 2 Chelsea players if you can afford them.
Okay. That's interesting to know. Now, have we got any
worthy mentions. Any other forwards out there? Let's say you're running out of money and you can't afford Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane. Is there anybody else out there who you would think, yeah, I'd put them in the team? There are a few. There's a new guy at Leicester. Patson Daka is his name. He just joined them, and I think he's going to be a really interesting player. He'll cost you $7.5 million. He's only 22, but he's played for Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. And I think with him in the Leicester team, it's going to add a little bit of firepower there. Now, he's going to have to adapt, of course, but he's one that I would watch. Chris Wood from Burnley is also a worthy mention. He cost you $7 million. He got 138 points last season. And Carlson de Andrade from Everton, he had a price tag of $7.5 million. He got 123 points. Michael Antonio from West Ham, $7.5 million, and he got 118 points. Hector, have you anybody?
Yeah, I have Edison Cavani from Man United. He great guy to score goals. He cost you $8.5 million. He got 99 points.
He's a bit on the low side. You just after saying he's good for getting goals. He only has 99. How did you work that out?
Well, you see, he not started lots of matches. He maybe be brought on, and he also played in FA Cup matches, league matches, and that there. He didn't always start,
Okay. Would you now, before you go any further, would you be wise putting him in your team if he mightn't start?
Well, sometimes you have to maybe balance out. Guy come on, he score a goal for you. He better than a guy who on for 90 minutes and do nothing, except maybe get the point or two. You have to factor that in.
I don't think I'd factor that in, Hector. Look, I think perhaps maybe if players were injured, you might look at getting this guy in. He does score goals. He has no problem with that, but he doesn't start the matches. He certainly wasn't starting matches last season. I don't know what this season has ahead, but look, one to keep on the radar. Okay. Hector, you were going to carry on there?
Yes, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal. He'll cost you $10 million and he has 131 points. And then his teammate, Alexander Lacazette, also from Arsenal, he's $8.5 million. He got 129 points. I think one guy probably to factor in here would be Neil Maupay from Brighton Hove Albion. He'll cost $6.5 million. He got 105 points.
Okay.
And then there's Christian Benteke from Crystal Palace. He's also 6.5 million. He got 106 points. And then the final guy, and I think, as Eamon said, Leicester have the new guy, but this guy is Kelechi Iheanacho from Leicester. He has 7.5 million. He got 110 points last season. So he's a striker as well as Vardy and this new guy. Yes, that's right. And this guy, he started to show great form. I like this guy. He good.
Okay. Well, that's interesting there now. So it is. At least their price don't seem to be as bad as some of these boys at 10.5. Although you had one, was it an Arsenal guy there? 10 million.
Yes, the Arsenal guy, 10 million.
Yeah, a lot of money. It's going to be fun here trying to divvy out the 100 million and get teams in. Yes, well, that's the challenge of the fantasy football manager. You have to be able to put the team together. But you have to put a decent team together. There's no point having heavyweights up front and nothing else in the rest of the team. I think balance is what you need. You were talking about now transfers and players coming in and coming out. Have we anything updated at the moment on this? Breaking news actually this evening would have been Man United are bringing in a winger, Jadon Sancho. So, this guy will be new. He'll be a player to factor in if you want him in there. The other thing, and this is important, is that some football clubs will change managers. We have Everton have appointed Rafael Benitez as their manager. And this guy will want to bring in his own players. He want to stamp his own mark on the team. And some of the players there might have to move. He might bring in some of his other players. And that's something as well to look out for. I mean, you could have a player playing for a team today, and if a new manager comes in, the manager might say, I want somebody else. This guy has to go. And that's just the cold face of football transfers at times. All right, okay. So you have to keep an eye out now on the managers as well as what players are moving in and out. I'm afraid so, yeah, that's it. Okay, well, that's interesting. Now, is that it for forwards? I think so, yeah. I think that's pretty much it. We've covered the goalkeepers, we've covered defenders, midfielders, and this is the forwards. If Harry Kane moves, he might move to somebody like Man City. So, he has to settle in there. He's a good player, though. He's very adaptable. I do like him. He's quite good. As I said, I'm not sold on Patrick Bamford. A lot of managers had him in there. I didn't think he was particularly efficient at times. But however, a new season, Leeds are there. They stayed up and they had a fairly good season for their first time. It'd be interesting to see how the second season goes. And of course, whether Leeds bring any new players in. All right, okay. Well, thank you. Hector, have you anything to add there, just without giving any shout outs to anybody?
No, not at the moment.
Nothing. That's it. You have nothing else to say about forwards?
No.
Okay. Nothing at all.
No, I have nothing to say. That I have finished. I say everything I want to say.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you for that. And thanks for going through the structure of the team. What are we looking at next now? I think next week we probably will talk about, how you balance in some of the players. Maybe put a team together and we'll just discuss, look, this is how this team would look, and take out players. You can move players. Of course, until the kickoff starts, you can bring in players and move them out, and you're not going to be, penalised. You're not going to lose any points for that there. It's only after the season kicks off, you start moving players out. And once the game starts, you can't change a player. That's it. It's locked in for that. So we'll talk about that. I think we'll talk a little bit about housekeeping. And, perhaps something to maybe to do is to reflect on how some of the managers got on in the Arkham Avengers League last season. Yeah, indeed. We did put a call out to see if we could get any of the managers for a telephone interview. And nobody's come back just as yet. They're probably busy out in the garden. It's good weather. True. Well, hopefully we'll keep plugging there. They might be listening to the podcast and they might say, "Oh yes, forgot to get back to them there." We've also got Mick is joining us. He's joining us next week actually, and I'll be very interested to hear what Mick says about being a manager, what it takes to be a manager. This has got to be great. Eamon, he's coming on, and that's it.
I like Captain Mick. Captain Mick is very good. He's very knowledgeable. If I be a listener here today, I be tuned in next week to hear this guy.
Seriously. Okay. Gentlemen, as always, thank you for your time and thank you for your analysis and your input. It's much appreciated. And look forward to seeing you back next week. Thank you. Yes, I look forward to this, especially with Captain Fantastical Mick joining the show. But thank you, yes.
Yes, I be here. I can't wait. I wish it was next week already. I love this guy. A big shout out to everyone in South America.
Seriously. And listeners, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the opportunity to listen what we, the panel, have to say. I hope you enjoyed the show, wherever it is. Be sure to tell your friends. Listen to us anytime, any place, anywhere. I hope you join us next week, where we'll have more insight and we'll have Captain Mick to have a talk to us. Remember, stay well, stay safe, and see you next week.